Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Quorum Podcast. This is where academic medicine meets remote, austere, and resource-limited areas. Welcome back to the program. This is Aebhric Kelly. This week, we are with Frida Svahn, who is a nurse from Sweden. Frida, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Hi.
You are definitely known to the college. You've been down below to Malta. Tell us, what did you do? So we met in Malta. What were you doing down there? What were you teaching for us?
I was teaching the T10s, and I also did some online lectures as well, some case studies.
And you met one of our faculty, Jason Jarvis, in Kenya ages ago. So
Yeah.
tell us how you got connected to the college. Tell us how you met Jason Jarvis, and what were you doing in Kenya?
Yes. So I was in Rwanda though. We met in
Rwanda.
Yeah, Africa, but we met in Kigali, and we were doing medical training for UNITAR, the training in research. And we met, it's a couple of years ago now, and we were both teaching there, so that's when we first met, really. And we did some trainings for doctors and nurses, like a pre-deployment training.
Okay, was it military or civilian?
Yeah, it was military.
Okay.
Usually it's, when we go there, it's usually like military, but it can be some civilians as well if it's like from the UN, but that was military personnel.
So you've been teaching for quite a while in austere environments. Tell us a bit about yourself and what's kept you busy.
Oh, it's a lot, but I started this journey off in the Swedish Armed Forces, like in the army. That was like 2009, which is some time ago now. And I did the military service there in electronic warfare. And that's when I really started having the interest for becoming a nurse. So I was a medic there and worked for 6 years in the army. And also when I went to like Afghanistan, that was when I really got a big interest in the medical stuff, which is awesome if you ask me. So, and then I decided to become a nurse really after I quit the army. So then I studied, and then I was working at the ER for some time. And I've always, been interested in going abroad, and so that's what I did, really. But when the pandemic hit, I started working at the National Board of Health and Welfare. So we were working in like crisis management, and that's when I really got the Rwanda job where I met Jason. That's some time ago as well. And then I started working after the pandemic. I'm now currently working at MSB, the Swedish Civil Contingencies Agency. So I work like with exercises, a lot. Yeah, that's not just it. But on the medical side, I'm working now at MSB. They have like a resource base, so they collect some kind of experts in different areas. So I'm there as a nurse. So we travel like around the world for shorter, periods, like 2 weeks, and we teach trauma medicine as well, all around. Yeah, that's a short summary.
So the MSB would be like the civil defense of Sweden.
Yes, yeah, you could say that.
And MSB came down to Malta for a bit it was earlier this month. And how come you didn't get on that short list to come down and do our eye care course?
Well, we have a lot of really good nurses, and a couple of us have been to Ukraine, and we have. I mean, we're quite busy now with Sweden going into NATO as well. So at my regular job, what I do like 100% of the time, we're really, really busy. But I'm sure I will be on the next round. Otherwise, I hope someone from someone hears it that I want to go.
So you started out in the army as a combat med tech, or did you get your nursing qualification?
No. Just as started as a combat lifesaver, and then and it started off from there, and then I did that for a couple of years, and then I decided to study to become a nurse.
So they did the 2-week combat lifesaver
Yes.
course. We used to call them combat life takers, but I think that's inappropriate now. They'll call them combat lifesavers.
Probably.
So that was great because it got you a little bit of medical
Yes.
information, and then you copped on to the fact that you might need more. So you just jumped into
and
nursing.
I mean, we did a lot of trainings in the army as well, so it wasn't just the 2 weeks we were doing. I mean, winter courses up north in Sweden, and so we had a lot of trainings. And I mean, when you start with it and you just want to know more, so I mean, the solution to really do everything that I wanted to do was to take the degree, really.
So what countries have you deployed to as a nurse with either MSB or whilst you're in the army?
Ooh, I've been, I don't like, with the army. I was in Afghanistan, but I've been like to Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Ghana, Ukraine. It's I will go on my 10th deployment now. I will go to Senegal in October or November, I think. So it's been a few now.
So your next one's in West Africa and Senegal.
Yes, it's my first time in West Africa. It will be exciting.
Make sure you take your Malaron.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. Sometimes, I mean, Swedes are typically the ones who vaccinates a lot, at least me. So I will at least take some Malaron for the mosquitoes.
And what will you be teaching there?
It's trauma medicine. It's like the we call it the ETB course. So it's the emergency trauma bag course. It's a 2-week course that we do, or like we deploy for 2 weeks. So the course is 1 weekend. Then we will do another next round of students, and usually it's I mean, it's people going, they are working within the UN, like the UNOPS, UNDSS, or something like that. But it can also vary depending on where we are going.
So the ETB is basically a 5-day first responder course. Is that right?
Yes. You have like all of the basics, and you do it on like 5 days. So it's quite compact course. And we have like around 16 students at the time. But you know, Aebhric, that sometimes that varies as well. But we try to keep it to 16. And it's a basic course, but quite intense for both the students and the teachers. A lot to learn.
How's your French?
It's bad. It could be better, but I'm going to France now, so we'll see. If you ask me in the end of August, maybe I can do a comeback. Do you speak French?
No, I'm struggling profoundly with German now that I'm living here in Germany. I barely got a grasp on English, so I'm struggling with Germans are just mental, absolutely touched. There's sexes for, like, a glass is no, it's not a male, it's a female. So therefore, there's an e at the end of it, and everyone knows this. And why? Well, just say the. It's insane. And I think the French are the same, aren't they?
I mean, the grammars are quite. I mean, I get a hold of the grammars, but it's so many ways to say things, and usually some of the French people aren't too nice when you really try to speak. Maybe that says more about me than about them, or like at least my French. So it's not bad.
The Germans will eat. Well, they'll smile nicely as you're trying to speak German to them, and then they will say in perfect English, "Oh, I'm so terribly sorry. My English is not that great, but I'll do the best I possibly can to understand what you're saying if you speak in English." I'm like, "You speak better than I do. What are you doing?"
Note to self.
So you also talked about teaching PFC in Somalia. Is that a deployment in the future, or did you already do that?
No, it's we get all these questions all the time to go like all over the world within the resource-based MSB, and they will do a course there. I will not go, but Pierre, on the other hand, he was at the PFC course in Malta a couple of weeks ago. He will go teach the PFC course now in Somalia.
Yeah, we had a group of the MSB come down, and they wanted the like more of the austere critical care side. I mean, PFC is in everything we're teaching, of course, but they wanted more of the critical care side of that. So we had them for 5 days, and it was great to see that what they could do with our very much living and bloody casualties that we threw at them. But it was interesting to hear about MSB. So MSB is the Civil Defense of Sweden, and the MSB, if you ask those lot in the classroom, are doing UN work better than the UN. So, I don't want to ruffle feathers here at all, but can you explain to me why is it this small organization in Sweden is doing UN work?
I mean, sometimes they can. We get a question. I mean, MSB does a lot, so this is just a small part of it. And for instance, you have the EU Civil Protection Mechanism, for instance. So if someone is asking for help or for something, maybe like a course like this, maybe the people in Ukraine wanted us to come there. So that could be one way. But I wouldn't say like we are better than the UN to do the trainings, but we do this course to help out on request, really.
The ETB is also taught in the UN.
Yeah, it's I think it's the UNDSS, which is actually the originator of the course. I might be wrong now, but I think it's theirs from the beginning.
Let me ask you this. Is there quorum logos at the bottom of your textbook of the ETB?
I don't think it is. I'm not sure. I mean...
So we were asked to help design the ETB by one of our graduates, Trent. And
really?
He must have been doing the UN version of the ETB, because he did show me a picture of the finished textbook, and it had our logo on it as far as reviewing the curriculum.
Aha. Well, that's a good way to put the logo as well.
We're happy to take a look at your ETB as well.
Yeah. I'll, but I mean, mostly we have like the lesson plans, and we go from there. And I mean, it varies sometimes, but I mean, the ETB course is quite structured. We have our ways, and they revise them. I mean, frequently, but isn't it like that in all the medical courses that they
the good ones anyway?
Yeah. But I'll have a look for the logo though.
Well, it's interesting that the MSB has a 5-day ETB and the UN has a 5-day ETB. Shouldn't the both of you lot be talking to each other and sorting out any differences in the curriculum?
But do you mean that they are different ones?
I don't know. Well, they're doing an ETB. How do you know that they're teaching the same ETB that you are? And if someone's coming to, say, Somalia and has done your ETB course, yet he's working with the UN group, shouldn't there be the same curriculum for both ETB courses?
Yes, it should. But I'm not sure it is not the same either. I mean, it was some time ago I went. I think last time I was in Ethiopia. But of course, it should be the same. Sorry for the noise.
No problem. It sounds like someone's making an adult beverage. Well done.
Yes. Construction work going on.
Oh, well, that's not nearly as fun as adult drinks.
Yeah.
What is your day-to-day activities like whilst you're working in Sweden for the MSB?
Oh, so it varies a lot, but now I have a really, really exciting project going on. So I'm the exercise director for a Swedish tabletop exercise, which is called the national seminar exercise or tabletop exercise, which is based on casualty move exercise, which is a NATO exercise in patient flow management. So we will have, I think it's 16 nations coming to Sweden in September.
Wow.
And doing the casualty move exercise. It's a civil military exercise, which is great, and it's based on Article 5. And we will use that scenario and the injects to create a Swedish exercise at the same time. So we will be sitting next to each other and we will work with each other, if you could say that. So I'm really busy planning this big exercise together with my colleagues and the army as well, and the National Board of Health and Welfare is also in the group, which is super exciting and a lot to learn.
What changes have you seen within the MSB now that Sweden's part of NATO?
I mean, there's a lot of expectations becoming a member state, and it's. I mean, we are doing adjustments all the time, so it's really hard to say how it has changed, but we definitely have a lot more work to do, and we're adjusting also to just trying to get it into our day-to-day work is one big thing. But I mean, the changes have been going on for some time, so I think it's just to adjust and try to have the same language, NATO language, really.
So can you explain to me why a civilian organization, which MSB is the civil defense, how is that part of the military NATO within your country?
I mean, it's part of the total defense. So when we are talking about that, we are talking about whole Sweden needs to function. So you could just say it's simple as that. But I mean, we have different areas that we are responsible for. So, but I mean, MSB is very big, and we have other authorities as well, which is also equally important in the sense of total defense. So we're all connected.
So do you see MSB having a big role in the defense of your country?
Yes, I would say that. I mean, we have a big role for sure.
So what would you be doing? So I'm not going to say when, but if this happens, how will MSB or how will your part of MSB stand up and take action?
Oh, that's a huge question. I mean, I should be politically correct here, really. So, but I mean, we have it's a lot of coordination and doing the analysis and sorry, the English here on these terms aren't perfect, really.
So basically, you are part of the medical side of MSB.
I wouldn't say I am, but that's just a part-time thing. So I'm working at MSB as an exercise on the exercises department, you could say, within civil protection, and yeah.
You also work for the health authority then?
No. I'm just working for MSB part-time as a nurse. That's when I go abroad. Otherwise, I'm fully into exercises at this moment.
That is busy.
Yes, it is. And also, you know what it's like to go out and work in Africa, for instance. I mean, you just want to do it more and more. And now when the times are heavy in the world, as it is, we have a lot of requests to go, as well as we have a lot to do within civil protection as well.
It's interesting to me that Sweden has been such a huge part of the world's medical response, and the work that MSB does on a global scale, which is, some UN type work that you guys have been doing in other countries for ages, that you saw that need for this even before you joined NATO.
Yes, but also like we are part of the EU, and we have bilateral agreements in all ways, like all over the place. But yes, we are doing a lot. And I was shown like a map. We were having like a workshop in host nation support. So we're really global, even though we just became a NATO member state. But I mean, the work has been going on for so long, and we have a lot of people deployed in a lot of different areas and expertise. But it's huge. And I mean, just to take Ukraine as an example, we were asked to do trainings, like medical trainings. So we trained a few people that got back to Ukraine, and they were teaching people. And now I don't know how many thousand people have been taught medical training because of this concept of training the trainers. As you know, it's just scaled up and really have been beneficial in Ukraine during the war.
In the Green Berets, we called this force multiplier. You go in, as you say, you train the trainer, and then you go home, and the trainers that you've trained are staying in country and hopefully raising up a ton of people to, in our case, be medical. And Quorum was in Ukraine in 2019 doing this. We did a 3-month program and train the trainers to convert the felters into U.S. level paramedics. And now that, we started it, and then the second invasion happened, and it kind of fell apart. Understandably, everyone had to move east all of a sudden, and a lot of them did. So I'm hoping that the trainers that we taught are still implementing some of those skills that we gave them. I think the bang for the buck that you can have for a trainer in such as in Ukraine or in sub-Saharan Africa, it's that makes a difference. I think that can make the world a better place by teaching people evidence-based medicine, the best options available, even though they're in sub-Saharan Africa or if they're in eastern Ukraine fighting for their lives.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of the trainings doesn't have to be super advanced either. I mean, just to see Ukraine, they didn't have enough material maybe in the beginning or even now, and they're still doing the basics as well, and it's really necessary there. And I think you had Anastasia at the PFC course, didn't you?
Yep.
And Vlad, yeah.
Yep, and Vlad, yep, they were there.
Amazing. And they are doing such an amazing job in Ukraine right now, doing this.
Yeah, they are the Tactical Medicine North group, and
yes,
I'm very impressed with what they're doing, and it'll be very interesting to see what can be done to support them in any way we can.
You should have Vlad on the podcast.
That's a very good idea.
Yes.
I'll have to have a chat with him about that.
Yes, you must. I think he will be happy about it, and he knows a lot now, so it's just a really good way to highlight both their job and, I mean, their high motivation. It's just incredible.
So our connection to Vlad and Anastasia from TACMed North came from you. You gave one of our field guides to Anastasia, and she was impressed with what we were doing, and that was the connection, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, we did a course in Sweden, and MSB invited them to come do the course. This is really how it started. It started off, and I give them the field guide, the amazing quorum field guide, and it spread as well. And you gave them access, like all the Ukrainians could get free access, if I'm not.
Yeah, anyone in country, Ukrainian and otherwise, who wants free access to our field guide, virtual field guide, they just send us their email contact. It can be a made-up Gmail email address, but we need something so they can download the free app, to their smartphone and then use it offline, and it translates into Ukrainian and tons of other languages. And we're trying to give as many of those away for free. We've only given a couple thousand, and I'm disappointed. I would like to give a lot more.
But that's amazing. I mean, it's really helpful, and you can have it offline and still be having it. It's a really useful one. I've used it a lot of during my jobs in Africa as well.
I have converted the first 24 pages of our physical field guide into Ukrainian, and I'll be bringing some of those and issuing those out. So basically, as the TCCC and the prolonged field care, and then the APIS, the ultrasound, 3 sections that I've converted into the Ukrainian and printed those out. So not only is the virtual one available, but we have a physical Ukrainian version as well.
That's perfect. And how do they get hold of them?
So the physical one's a bit tough because we got to figure out how to print it in country. We'll have that sorted here in a fortnight or so. But the virtual one, they can just email the college, and the 320-page field guide, I'd like to convert it fully into Ukrainian.
I mean, you have a good reputation, and also regarding Johan Bog, which is, he's working at MSB, as you know. He was, impressed by the college even before he knew I had been teaching for you guys. So, yes. And he said, no, really, you have to introduce me. And I said, of course. Yes. So I think that's also one of the reasons that we keep sending MSB people to the quorum courses, because it's high quality and good courses.
So speaking of Sweden, are you going to be attending the Tactical Medicine Conference in October in Sundsvall?
In Sundsvall. I was actually trying to go, but I have too much work going on right now, but I might be coming up for one day.
It'd be great to see you.
And I'm sitting here by the ocean, so my cabin is actually quite close to Sundsvall. So I'm trying my best to go there. You will go, I assume.
I'm speaking at it, so...
Oh, okay, yes.
Fredrik Granholm was kind enough to invite me to speak, and he also set me up with a HEMS day. So I was like, well, I'm coming to Sweden anyway. You used to run a HEMS base in Sundsvall. How about you pop me onto the heli for a day? And he's like, well, I'm out of that job now, but hold my beer. And about a fortnight later, he's like, all right, it's all set up. You got to go to Mora, which is in the middle of nowhere, Sweden. And I've been using Mora knives for ages, so I'm delighted to go to Mora and have a day on the HEMS. And
yes.
And then during this MSB course in Malta, one of the guys in Stockholm HEMS, he's like, "What? You're going to Mora? No. You got to come to Stockholm and do a HEMS day in Stockholm." So I may have to get a kitchen pass for quite a few days extra in Sweden, but we'll see how that goes.
Yes, and you definitely need to stop by Söderhamn and come visit here in the cabin on your way to Stockholm from Sundsvall.
Nice. Well, Frida, my final question for you is this. What advice do you have for the new paramedic, new nurse, or new doctor interested in working in austere environments?
Do some really good courses. It's an investment. And then I would say a good thing would be, for sure, to apply for the resource base at MSB. We have a lot of jobs, but I mean, when you start off this job, I mean, the intention and the motivation must be high, because it's quite some quite hard work at times, very intense, and then you will just keep building your network. I mean, that's the key. Network and be hungry, I would say, as my last answer.
To network and be hungry.
Yes.
Sound advice. Frida, thank you for being on our podcast today. You impress me with the passion and the push that you have in austere medicine and the waves that you're making in the world around you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Aebhric. I'm very glad.
This has been a presentation from the College of Remote and Offshore Medicine. If you would like to earn CPD credits for this podcast, you can join the Council of Members. Being a member of the college gives you free CPD credit, free access to our virtual field guide, and discounts on our e-learning courses. You can join the team on our college website at quorum.edu.mt.